Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this double curtain fold card. Normally videos show how to do this one, but I've turned it around so that I've got more like open curtains. So to start off with, I will show you the card pieces we're going to need. What I'm trying to do today is to make one each of these cards at the same time. This one I have it all prepared except for this part, but this one I'll be showing you from the start. Changing colour scheme, yes. I'm going to use Melon Mambo and black for my colours today, with obviously white. So if I just move those out of the way for the time being, I'll tell you the card pieces you're going to need. I do apologise to those of you who like measurements in metric. I haven't been able to work it out. As you know, I am an inches person, but when I edit the video I will try and get the metric measurements on the screen and in the box below the video. No promises, I will do my best though. So to start off with, the card pieces you're going to need is a card base in Whisper White, which measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8. A piece of Melon Mambo, which measures 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches. Another piece of Whisper White. This measures 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches. The reason I'm not giving the metric measurements on these pieces either is because these may have to be varied when I work this out. I don't know. So if I do manage to work it out for you, get them on screen, I'll also put metric of those on screen. Right, so for the DSP, and it is best if you choose something where you're using the same. So you need one piece that measures 11 inches by 3 inches, and you need another piece that measures 3 7/8 inches by 2 3/4 inches. Then you need a piece of Melon Mambo that measures 2 3/4 inches by 1 3/4 inches, one piece that's 2 1/2 inches by 1 1/2 inches, a Whisper White piece that's 2 1/2 inches by 1 1/2 inches, scraps of Whisper White and Melon Mambo for the flower, and the strip of Melon Mambo to go across the centre, and I haven't cut that down. It should be 1/2 inch by 3 7/8 inches. Okay, so what I will start with first of all is to do the actual curtain part. I've already scored this one. Scoring for both of these is identical, so whatever you see me do now will suit either card. It's only when it comes to the cutting that it changes, otherwise everything is all the same. Okay, so I'm going to do my scoring for this one. So I'm bringing in my scoreboard. In fact, let me just move some of these pieces out of the way. And with my long piece at the top of my scoreboard, you are going to need to score at, and do use the larger ball on your stylus. Okay, that one. And don't press too hard with this because it is cardstock and it will split if you go too far. Right, so the first one is 1 1/2 inches, 2 inches, 3 inches, 3 1/2 inches, 4 1/2 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, 6 1/2 inches, 7 1/2 inches, 8 inches, 9 inches, and 9.5 inches, and I haven't cut my inch off there either. Let me just quickly cut that off. There we go. Now that is the only scoring we need to do. What we need to do next is the cutting. Now, the cutting I'm going to do now is more tricky than the other one. Right, now what we have done with our score lines, we've got half-inch gap, half-inch, 1 inch gap, half-inch, 1 inch, all the way along. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a cut to come up here. We're going to have a straight line and then to come back out again. And the middle one here is the one that's between 5 inches and 6 inches. Okay, so you should have one big one, a big one, big one, big one. Okay, so this is my centre one. So what I need to do first of all is with my ruler, I am going to measure up 1.5 inches. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This ruler isn't the best. Yeah, that's it. So there's my mark there. 1, 2, 3. Just make sure I'm doing my right section. And then 1.5 inches on this one. I need it really on the score mark. Okay, so next I'm going to cut on that score line up as far as that pencil mark. And then I'm going to cut again on that side. Okay, so that piece I need to cut off. So what I'm going to do, it's not very easy to cut it off while I still got my sides there, so I'm just going to fold it out of the way. In fact, I haven't cut that quite far enough. Let's do that a little bit further. When you fold that up, you should be able to fold it right over to your lines. Okay, so I've got my fold line there, lines up with the pencil mark and the pencil mark. So what we're going to do now, we're going to cut from that corner up to that pencil mark. So the way we're going to do that is we are going to put that pencil mark into the groove. We're going to put that point into the groove. Where's my cutting blade? Let's move that up there. So when you're happy you've got those in the right place, you slice. And go gently as you come up here, but you'll feel when you come to the bit where you've already cut up there. Now we need to do this side, so it's put that pencil mark into that groove, this point into the groove, and then slice that as well. Make sure I didn't move that. In fact, you can't see down that bit, can you? There we go. So just make sure I'm still in that groove there. And that one. Okay, so just go carefully, and you feel a little bump when you cut that bit off. Okay, now it's easy to cut this piece off. Let's try my little scissors. Oh, that's a lot better. In fact, I didn't start that very well. Yep, I'm happy with that. Okay, so that's what I say, it's more difficult than doing the other one, but it's not impossible. And while I think of it, I'm going to just erase those pencil marks. Okay, so that's the one to go with that card. Now the one to go with this card is this sheet, and I've already done my score lines. I don't know which, if you can see them any easier on one side to the other. You can see them slightly there, can't you? Okay, so what we need to do here is, again, with our pencil, mark the line between the 5 and the 6. So you've got one large, two large and an extra large, one large, two large, extra large. So this is the centre one. So just put a little pencil mark in the grooves there. And then up here you need to measure. In fact, let's do it down this end. No, you can't see either end. Right, okay, that's better. Now, this is my 3 inches here. Okay, so I've lined that up with 3 inches. That's right at the beginning. So I'm just going to do a little pencil mark at 1.5 inches. I'm going to turn it around and do the same this end. So that's lined up at 3 inches. That's at the beginning. I'm going to mark at 1.5 inches. This is definitely the easier one to do of the two curtains, but personally I prefer the other one. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start cutting at the 1.5 inch. Right, 1.5 inch there, and we're going to the first pencil mark. Okay, and just double check when you think you do have your first pencil mark, because sometimes it's a lot easier to see than others. But just check to make sure you can still see the second one, so you know that you are using the right one. Trust me, I made that mistake yesterday. Right, so let's start at the top here for this one, and then just slice that off. Okay, now turn it, and we're going to come down to the second pencil mark and put that into the groove, and then I'm going to put this pencil mark into the groove as well. Okay, so that's right. Right, missed that. Let's try that again. Yes, yes. Okay, so that's all we need the trimmer for. So let's erase those pencil marks as well. Now when you start folding, you've got to choose which pattern you want at the bottom here. Now I think I'm going to have the black at the bottom and I'm going to have the pink at the top. Okay, so what we're going to do is, first of all, fold on all of your score lines, and as I always say, make sure you match up your two edges as you come over. I don't recommend that you use a bone folder. I think your finger will do quite hard enough creases. There is one stage where we will be using it, but that's at a stage where it will actually be covered up. So my concern is that if you go too hard with bone folders, it will split, the paper will split, and the only stage we'll be using it is at the stage where if it splits it doesn't really matter because it's going to be covered up anyway. Okay, so that's, I missed one there, let's go back slightly. Swap it over to the other side. It just starts getting easier. Okay, so that's all folded. So what you need to do now, with the colour that you want facing you, you need to have a mountain fold and then a valley fold. Okay, so that's your mountain, that's your valley. And then you need a mountain and a valley. And what you should find happening is you're getting the other colour coming through at the bottom. Okay, so mountain, valley. Now when you get that far, you need to stop. And you need to come from the other direction. So you've got a mountain and a valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley. Okay, so that's going to be this one. So before I go and fold the other one, I'm going to just get the tape onto this so that it's being held into place. So if you use your tearing tape, you need, because this is the bit that's going to be facing on the front here, your tearing tape, you've got to make sure you get right up at the top there. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky, but it's not impossible. Okay, so just do a little bit at a time. There we go. Now, some videos I have seen, people have been using absolutely masses of this tape, and you really don't need it. All I do is the one at the front, because that's where we're going to put our strip over it. I do one at the top to hold that, and this is trying to splay out, so I just want one to go from there across to there. Okay, so make sure they're all laying down flat first, and you put your tape over it, and then across there. Okay, so that's that one. Now let's bring the other one back. That one. And that's this one. And this is what I've done, whoops, already with this card, because I will be showing you how I've done this for that one rather. So you can see that. Right, again, fold all of these. This is exactly the same, nothing changes. And as you're folding over, make sure that they all line up. And you just need your finger to flatten them down. This one does tend to go walkabouts a bit more, largely because it's so thin on the inside here. I've done this back to front, haven't I? Right, no worries, no worries. I know what I've done. There's no problem. Basically, that goes with that one because of the design up there. Okay, so let's change that over. Sorry, I hope that hasn't confused you. So that goes with that. Right, now this one, we are going to do the same. So we're going to have mountain, valley, because I'm going to have the black at the front again, because I'm going to have that one at the top. And we have mountain, valley, mountain, valley. Have I reached the end yet? 1, 2, 3. Hold on, what am I doing? No, this one's got to go. Actually, it depends on which way the design goes, isn't it? Or is it because I've done this cutting inwards? Probably because I've cut inwards. So this one, it's going valley, mountain. What you need to make sure is that you get this design showing through. So we have valley, mountain. That's right, valley, mountain. Oh, that's right, because this needs to be on the top like this. I don't know if you can see, but that, if I put my fingernails under it, you can see that's one piece. That's the fold there. And then on this one, it goes onto the inside of the card. Didn't notice that yesterday. Okay, so we got... So I have to backtrack slightly on what I said. They're not identical, because if you go for this one, you've got mountain, valley, mountain, valley. If you go for this one, you've got valley, mountain, valley, mountain. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is, and what you should also notice, if you've done your cutting correctly, these two here, they should meet up exactly. Let's see if I can get that up to the screen to show you. Don't want to flash it about too much because it's can cause migraines. Okay, can you see how they two meet up together? If you find that they're not meeting up quite correctly, you can trim them a bit. But if you're massively out, then I wouldn't try it. Right, so now I'm going to put my scoring tape on here. Not scoring tape, but that's because I've been watching videos of other people who do use a product called scoring tape. Ours is called tearing tape. Okay, so this is the front. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the back as I've done to the other one. One across the top. And then one, so it comes across this centerpiece. And the reason to put it right the way over here is because this last piece gets wrapped around the layers and it will help to adhere it down. Okay. This one I think is the best that I've seen out of all of these cards I've been doing, from the point of view that this pattern is showing through beautifully. Right, so what I'm going to do next is bring in my bits and pieces. Let's keep that one there. This is the one you need to be watching. So the first thing is to put my Whisper White layer onto my Melon Mambo layer. You can use snail, fast fuse, tear and tape, whatever. I definitely prefer Tombow. Just find it so much quicker and easier to get that down. And then I want to put this piece on top. And I should have put this piece on first, because in case that goes over slightly. Oh well, never mind, if it goes over slightly, it's over. I quite often find that I've gone a absolute tad over the edge, and I like to cut it off before I stick these two layers together, but too late. Yes, it looks as if I've gone a tad over as well. Never mind, I'm not going to worry too much about that. So I've got that bit on. Now we're going to put this on here. Now what I do with this, and I do exactly the same there, I line my cardstock on my grid paper. Right, you can see that bit, that's good. So that this here is halfway between the 8. Okay, so my 8 is the centre. Because my underneath piece is 4 inches, I got 2 inches this side, 2 inches this side. And if I make sure that that is on there straight, then I know this is straight, and the dark line that goes from the 8 up, that's where the centre of that has got to go as well. Not that it goes that far up, but it does help when eyeballing it. Now what I do is I just take off one layer of the cover, and what I'm doing is I'm looking for the centre of that to line up with the centre of my 8 down there, and just eyeballing that it's just going straight up there. In fact, I know what I meant to... I didn't do this yesterday and I got in a bit of trouble with it. If you put your silicone mat under it, because what we've done is where we've taken the strip off, we've exposed some sticky there, and it's going to come off the edge of our card, and you don't want it sticking onto your grid paper. So if I just line that up there again, and as this comes down here, I aim to get whatever part comes to that corner to be level, so that I don't have any white, so that when I fold it over I'm going to have black all the way down on that edge. So let me see, I'll show you what I mean. Now that centre line looks as if it's level with the 8. It looks straight. In fact, I've got the triangles to help me, haven't I? They're straight, I can see that. Okay, so I'm just watching to make sure that my curtain comes right down to the bottom. So I'm tilting that down and the top of the curtain up at the moment. Now I'm going to let that bit go down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold, no not, take this next piece off, just release that, and then you just put it off from underneath. Now I'm going to fold that over, and I'm going to fold that one over, and then I'm just going to use my paper snips to cut that little triangle off that's coming over the bottom. You see that? And I'm just going to cut it at an angle like that. And do the same to that one as well. There we go. So what I've done is, as I was laying this down, I was making sure that that black came off right by the edge of the pink. Looks like I'm very, very slightly out because that one's come perfectly, and that's exposing a little bit of pink. But nobody's going to notice that apart from me. Now at this stage, I recommend that you use your bone folder just to fold those score lines underneath the tape. That's the only bit that you need to do. And by doing that, you will find that you don't get too much of a gap down here. Obviously there is a ridge because you've got all the pleats there, but if you just flatten those bits, it goes down beautifully. Right, so I'm happy with that. Now I need to I've got my flower already done. I'll tell you about that in a moment. But what I need is, oh, should I do this first? Let's do this one. So need to, in fact you could actually do your folds before you put it on your card. Doesn't matter really which way you do it, as long as you do it. Right, so let's take the top one off. Let's have my grid pad, not my grid, that's my silicone mat. Right, let's line this up with the grid paper. So again, that's going to measure up, line up with the 8 inches. My cardstock is going to start at 6, end with 10, so that's going to be my centre. But it's going to be a bit different this time because this is a lot closer to that. Makes that a bit easier, but then you've got to try and get the centre up there. Yep, that's going to be easy. Right, let's take this piece of backing off. Now I'm going to make sure that this edge comes right down the edge of my pink here. So I'm lining the centre of that piece up with my cardstock, making sure the centre is there, and then just eyeballing it to make sure it's going up straight. If I could get a bit closer, I could have used these circles as well, the dots as well. Right, okay, so that's all done. Now I'm going to take this piece off. You see, doing these two cards is identical. It really is just the cuts, and as we found the folds. This one's Mountain Valley, Mountain Valley. This one's Valley, Mountain, Valley, Mountain. Right, so that's all okay. I'll fold that over. A little bit concerned that I've got more left over on that side, but some things I worry about and some things I don't. As long as that looks straight by the time I finished it, I'll be happy. Right, so now I'm going to do my stamping for this, and then I will cut my two shapes out. I don't need to do the flower because I've already prepared that ahead of time. So the stamp set I'm using is Rose Wonder, and I'm using the Wedding Wishes, which is this. I'm using Melon Mambo ink. I don't think I need that anymore. I'm just going to get this centered because I'm going to use the oval framelits to die cut this out. There we go, that's nice. So I just need to bring my Big Shot over. Now with my layering ovals, the sizes, these layer in with these ones. So sizes, you start with 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, and the same applies for these as well. So what I'm using is I'm using number 2 of the straight cut, and I'm using number 2 and number 3 of the scallop cuts. Right, so we can do all of this at the same time. So that's one small one, one big one, and then the sentiment. As you can hear, I have the magnetic platform to hold my dies in place. It's a brilliant addition to the Big Shot, and I really recommend it. Right, so that's the sentiment. That's one oval. And the large oval. There we go. So what I'm going to do is layer these together. So that's that for Tombow. Again, you can use fast fuse or snail, whatever you prefer. And then I'm going to pop this on with dimensionals. Four dimensionals will be a little bit of overkill, so I just cut one in half. Now that needs to go onto the card. Now I'm not going, yes I will do, I think. Right, I'm just going to put some little bit of snail underneath there to hold that bit down. In fact, you could, I mean, when I was putting the tearing tape on, you could have put a strip down the edges there to hold this down. I didn't find that I needed it yesterday, but today it might have been an idea. Oh, and before I put that on, because I haven't cut this yet, what I'm going to do is take this and I'm going to pop this on top. And then I can just take it off and cut to size. Okay. Now let's get the bits together. There we go, so that's that one. Put this on. Now I put this on halfway on this DSP, but I just leave a little gap there. Just try and make sure I get it straight. And then my flower, which I cut using the Blossoms Builder framelits, and the ones that I've used, I did one of these for the big white one, I used one of these for the centre white one, and then I used this little curly one for the pink bit in the middle there, and I used my pencil to curl them up a little bit, lift these up, adhered them all together with Tombow, and now I'm going to put Tombow on here. Just pop that there, and then with my white gel pen, if I have it with me, I'm just going to put some little dots on here. Okay, I should have done this before I put my flower on. But never mind, we can get there. Okay, so that's that one with that. And then with this one, I've already done the dots on there. I'm not sure it's very obvious though because of the, and I forgot to come across with a strip for this. Well, in that case, I'm going to finish this off camera. No, I'm not. I am going to get it. Such a shame to come so far. In fact, I thought I had sorted out two pieces. But never mind, let's, there we go. Oh yes, I did. Here it is. I knew I had. Okay, so let's do that. Just make sure that's straight and cut that bit off. And that one's already stuck itself down. There we go, and there's that one. So there's my two cards for today. There's that one and this one. And I have one other to show you, and that's this one. When I was checking YouTube yesterday, I came across this one where the measurements are different. On this one, in fact all of these, I've done 1/2 inch and 1 inch, 1/2 inch and 1 inch all the way across, which has worked out beautifully. But this one was 1/4 inch and 3/4 inch, and it's meant that you get one extra pleat in there and also a gap in the centre. It looks very nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to order some more of this paper because I've run out of it. I just love this pop of pink. I want to do with this one again because I think this is just lovely the way this shows up. The others are a little bit disappointing, I think, but still beautiful cards. And also I put the pearl there. I'll do that later. But there you go. I hope you liked today's project. I hope you decide to give it a try. Without a doubt, that is my favourite. It looks more natural than that. But you have the choice. I've shown you both. If you have found today's video a bit confusing because I've done 2 cards at once, can you leave me a comment in the notes at the bottom, and that way I will know not to do that again. If it has left you so totally confused, you don't know whether you're on your head or your elbow, and you'd prefer to see a video like this but separate, I will redo it. But they're so basically the same that I'm hoping that you'll be happy with it. Many thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions, please leave a comment in the box below or email me at janb@janbcards.com. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I've used here, please click on the 24/7 link that you'll find in the box below, and that will take you straight to my Stampin' Up online shop. If you've enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get notified every time I bring out a new video. And finally, I will put all the measurements, hopefully with the metric as well, on the screen. And if you're watching on a device that doesn't show the writing, then I will put it all in the box below for you. So whichever way, it's all nice and easy for you. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.